everyone. Today we got to play the Deep Blue, but before we get into it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell because board games are amazing, and that's what we do here at Legends of Nirvana. Now, Randy, can you tell us a little bit more about Deep Blue?
I can. This is a 2019 release. It has a Board Game Geek rating of 6.8 and a Board Game Geek rank of 2586 currently. It's a 2 to 5 player game, 45 minutes in length average, which is probably about right. Age is 8 and up. I think that's also probably about right. I think this is something Sarah probably could have played with us.
Yeah.
The designers were Asger Harding Granerud. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing these names, and I apologize. Daniel Skjold Pedersen. The art is by Biboon, Miguel Coimbra, Cyril Daugin, Xavier Gwenfey Dunn, and 5 additional people. Published by Days of Wonder, which they always make pretty good quality games as far as the components. One of the things I always like about them. MSRP for this one was at $49.99. And the Card House is the only place I saw it that we normally order from, and it's $39.99. I saw Amazon had it at MSRP of $49.99, and there is a copy on sale at Geek Market currently from the U.S. for $26, and then there's several outside the U.S. as well.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about quality of components. So you have your little ship miniatures. So you have those in the different colors. You have cardboard money tokens. Your card quality, there is a nice linen finish on these. They're really good. However, you do shuffle a lot.
Shuffle them, yes,
so you probably want to get sleeves for these. Not because they're not good quality, just because there's a lot of shuffling.
They have a nice large diving bell for marking the islands you dive at.
And then your tiles, again, have a really good linen finish of them. You get these really cool chests that hold all your victory points. So that's really cool. I really like what they did there. So overall, I think they did a lot of good stuff with this.
And it's got a really large, nice, chunky board in the middle. It's big, and we'll get to the art later, but... Yeah,
so, I mean, overall, I think this gets a 7.5, if not an 8 for me.
I'm probably at an 8 for it, because everything is really nice. It also has a nice storage system in the box.
Yeah, that definitely makes it an 8 then. So, yeah, I think overall, it's nice. All right, now let's talk about the actual theme. The artwork is beautiful. I think they did a fantastic, all the oceanic scenes that they've got going on. They've done very, very well with it. It really captures the imagination. And just the overall presentation is very awesome. It's very it's very, it draws you into the theme, which is absolutely fantastic.
I also think the art on the cards is incredible. All the different individuals, they made different names for every character.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. So even though some of them are duplicated as far as function, they all have unique art and unique names.
Yes. And the other thing I kind of want to touch base with the theme is the mechanics fit so well with the theme. The fact that you're pressing your luck and trying to dive deeper, right? But you may end up having to pull up and lose everything because of animals or lack of oxygen.
Yeah.
I think that's a wonderful mechanic. I think that fits.
It's also the only game I think that I know of anyway, where one person kind of drives and you kind of just tag along, and so you're not only pressing your luck on how far the expedition goes, but you're pressing your luck on how far your opponent is going to dive and potentially cause you to lose.
Right, because that was the thing is I think we soon realized that as long as I was diving, I could make you guys bow out way before because I had bought protection cards. And versus you guys where, you guys, if you did it, I was like, oh, come on, you're stopping now? Like, I can go all day. So anyway, that's more game mechanics. But overall, I think the theme was actually very good. The art's fantastic. Mechanics are driving. I'm definitely going to give an 8 for theme. What are you thinking?
I'm probably going to give it a 9.
Oh,
I think
wow.
I really like the art and the colors of this.
Really
And that's the attention to detail that was spent as far as making sure all the components tied so well to the game.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely there. I'm not going to begrudge you a 9. I mean, I Absolutely. This game is pretty phenomenal. All right. So now let's move on to the actual rule book. Randy, what were your thoughts around the rule book?
The rule book, well, the first complaint was the packaging. When they put it in the box, the rule book was put where it creased all the way down because the box was sealed in the packaging with the crease, like the box around where the corner was. So when they shut the box, it packaged it that way. And as a result, I've got a giant crease across my rule book. But that doesn't detract from the rules so much as frustration that I got a copy that was bad.
That's really your MO.
Yeah.
You should just accept it.
As far as the rule book itself, I like the way they've done the setup. It's got a nice picture of the map and where everything goes numbered cleanly. All of the different components have the quantity and the pictures of them so you can see what's what. There is really no confusion in this game. It's a pretty simple game to begin with. There's only something like 4 actions you can take on a turn, and it does a good job of conveying it. The dive, on the other hand, when they get to the dive, it didn't do quite as good of a job as explaining that, which is kind of the biggest part of the game. They did give some examples, but for some reason they put them at the very end of the section. They didn't put them while you're reading it. So it made more sense as you read the examples. I wish they would have embedded them as you read the rules. But all in all, it's still a really good rule book. And really no confusion in the game at all. It has a nice thing about it in the appendix with the iconography. Mm-hmm. I'm going to probably go ahead and give this one an 8. I think it does a fine job. And it's got, one of the things I like about it, there's different scenarios we'll talk about here in the gameplay, but they have several different cards to draw from in the game, so you can vary the end game of this, from one game to the next.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about gameplay. So the gameplay is that you have a hand of cards, okay? And these cards can either offer up an action, offer up money to buy additional cards, or can be used in defense when you go down to dive. Now, so I have my hand here. I'm going to decide to move 1 space. So I'm going to move over here. So what I did is I spent one of the propeller actions, right? And I laid it down. Then I'm going to turn it over once I show that, hey, that's what I'm playing. All right, so it's going to be on the underside up. And then Randy over here is going to buy a card.
Well, before that, you're probably going to want to put that on.
Yeah.
There's some of the tiles have different docking stations. If you go to those specific locations, you get a perk. So you want to be one of the first ones at a space because that gives you the choice of privileges there. So some of them might help defend you from some of the threats, and some of them
might give you more victory points towards a certain color of the jewels.
Yeah.
So Randy, you're going to end up buying a card.
Oh, am I?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I guess I'm buying a card because that's what I need right now.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to pay 2 money to buy a card that costs 2 money. So give me one of the 2.
Would you like Simon or Melu?
Looks like they don't both do the same thing, so I'll take either one of them.
Well, I mean, I think the French hat is totally you.
That's the beret.
Well, it's not a beret; it's just a cool hat.
That's a like a I don't know what that is. It's a hat.
It's a hat. All right. So, Randy, and that's what you do is you play the card that has the money icon on it, and then it goes into your discard pile. After you do that. And the new card stays in your hand, okay? Now, it's my turn, and I am going to go diving because I have all of my hands. I've only played 1 movement card, so I'm pretty good on that front. So I'm going to do...
Before you do that, since I'm 1 space away, I have the option for free. I can do 1 move over to the space, but I cannot choose to place in one of the privileged spots. Yeah. I have to put it just in the middle and take whatever the luck of the draw gives me.
Yep. So now we're going to go diving. So now I'm going to keep drawing diamonds until...
Well, you do it 1 at a time, and as you draw, every turn, you get to look at your hand and decide if you want to play a card or not. So there's cards that trigger
so for example, silver, I don't have a card that triggers on 1 silver, but I do have one that triggers on 1 purple.
As do I.
So... once I locate it, here it is. All right, so for example, my card for 1 purple gets me 5 points.
As does mine.
Yep, so I'm going to lay that down. Okay, so then I am going to keep draw. Oh, look, I've got a 2 silver.
I think I have one of those.
Yeah, we both do.
Yep.
All right, so another 2 silver. That gives me 2 coins. All right. Now we get another silver. And a red. I do not have a red card. Another silver. Oh, wait, that's 4 silver. I do have a 4 silver card.
I do too. We have a lot of the same cards.
Well, I think pretty much that there's 2 of each card in the deck as far as...
I have a feeling this is going to end badly for me.
Yes, it is, and that's the point. All right, so the first thing is we got the first blue one. So it goes on this oxygen meter. We have a warning. We're starting to lose oxygen. So hopefully...
You're taking my breath away.
Yep. Oh, look, there's another one.
Uh-oh.
It was a really damaged line, okay?
Well, you don't have to play one because the spot you chose gives you protection from an oxygen
So
loss.
I don't have to do it yet.
But I do have to play one to stay in, which
okay.
I know you can outlast me, so this is going
all
to
right,
be badly.
I get a green, so I do have one of the green ones.
I have one of those.
I'm trying to make you bust, so...
You're going to, I know that. It's going to take you a while, but you will make me bust.
So, there's 6.
And somebody should have gone there for the silver. We would have got a lot of points.
Yeah, well, I wasn't actually trying to win this game. I was just trying to explain to our wonderful people how this all works. We have another red.
Oh, but we do have over 8. I have one that gives me a bonus for having at least 8.
So we have a gold. I do have one for gold.
As do I.
All right, silver. Black. Oh, the animals are starting to come. They're eyeing us. They're starting to get hungry. Uh-oh, one attacked.
I have one to protect for that.
I do too. All right, now we have another gold, which allows me to put the 2 gold out.
At this point, I am out of cards to play to actually generate any kind of income, so I just know I'm sitting here waiting for my doom.
And this is... Oh, there's another
now
attack.
I cannot stay in. I have to drop out because I have nothing left to protect from the black, which was the story of the entire game.
Pretty much, that's how I rolled when I hit.
I have to drop out, so I surface, and I can no longer participate in the scoring for those gems. But I still will get my cards.
Yes, so everything he played on his cards, he'll still get. And I'm gonna keep playing, obviously, until I can't any longer.
Well, we don't have to. You could
end
it just now at this point.
I know, I can't help it. All right, so actually I can't because I have the 2 blues. I could pretty much use up the whole bag, which is what I did in the game. Yes. So, but now then let's trigger the actual scoring. So Randy's only going to score for his card. So you're going to do your math, and then I'm going to do this. So I have 2, 4, 6, 8. So 8 times 1. So I get 8 for that because that's how many gems. Now anyone else that survived the dive would also be getting the 8, but no one did. All right, so then we have the gold, which are worth 2 apiece. We have 2 of those, so we'd be getting 4. Then the reds are worth 4 apiece. There's 3 of those, so that's worth 12. Okay, the greens are not worth anything, and the purples aren't worth anything unless they come through your card count. And then we both get our cards. So how much did you get for your card?
I got 29.
Oh, see, like he needed. Give me a 1. It doesn't really matter. But
no, I don't have a 1. Okay, I get extra. It's a tip.
All right, and then I'm going to do the same thing. So 11, 13, 21, 24, 28. So I've gotten 28 for mine.
And also, since she's the one that went on the dive, she gets the points that are in the middle of the tile because each tile's
singles.
have them. That one happens to have a 1. Now,
all right.
Even if she had to surface, she would still get that bonus as well.
Yes, I would get the 1. So then we're going to put them all secretly in our chest. All right. So, and then we go about. Now, the timing for this one is when you discover 4 specialty tiles.
They all have a little compass in the middle.
Yeah, so not only do you discover them, but you actually do the dive. So once that's completed, then the game ends.
The dive is under this end-game condition that's different from all the other ones. So in this case, when you get one of these 4 tiles, you have to draw 2 gems simultaneously each time you draw instead of just 1.
Which would have been way easier for me.
Well, yeah, but it could cause somebody to bust faster,
Well, I never had that problem.
I know you didn't. So, moral of the story is don't let somebody get all the cards of protection.
I didn't get all of them. You got a couple?
I got some of the blue ones, but that was the only risk you had was getting one blue or all the blues maxed out.
Yeah, that's kind of the point.
So the big thing was I had to rush the board to keep you from triggering the dives, which I like that. There's strategy. You don't. It's not just all about the deck building. It's also about making sure you can get to the locations and trigger the dives before the other players.
Yeah.
So there's a balance.
So unlike the thing that I did at the beginning of the game, which allowed me some freedom, is I made sure I was within one range of whatever dive that you were about to do, so I could get dragged along. So instead of spending actions to move, I was able to just reshuffle my deck or reset my deck. That's the other thing you could do. We didn't talk about that. So all the cards that we played now are going to go in. So every single one that we played is going to go in the discard pile. Okay. Now, so I did the dive. So Randy's going to rest now, which means he's going to shuffle.
So, yeah, you're going to shuffle. Every time you do a rest, you shuffle the deck, and you're going to draw only 3 of the cards back. So that was another thing that was a saving grace in this. That kept you, because you only get 3 back. It took you a lot longer to replenish your hand. I didn't have that many cards, so I could cycle my deck faster than you could. But I also had a lot less scoring potential as a result. Because your dad kept taking a lot of the scoring cards. You got some, but you also got all the protection cards. I was just racing around trying to trigger dives.
Right. So,
But I wasn't that far behind you on score, to be fair.
No. Yeah, and Dad was the least of these. At least of the 3 of us.
That's because he got left out of several of the dives. But even then, he wasn't that far away.
No, I think he
got left out of at least 3 dives.
Yes, but I got out of 2.
Yeah.
And then you missed 2.
Did I? I think I only missed 1.
Nope, definitely missed 2 because I did 2 dives by myself.
Well, the very final one, everybody missed other than you. But,
right, and then there was one other one in the game that I did by myself. Yeah. So, that's you're gonna miss out on dives, but you really don't want to. And
but you do get 2 boats, which you can split your movement across to help you stay close to the other players to avoid that to some extent. But with up to 5 players, I could see this having a lot of people getting left out.
Yeah. So there's that. Overall, I actually really enjoyed this game. I'm typically not a pressure luck kind of girl, but the fact that it allowed some mitigation strategy, I appreciated. And you pretty much knew where you stood because you knew what your hand was. You knew how far you could go. You knew what you were kind of risking. So I thought it's a calculated risk, which I like way better than good luck, I don't know. I like calculated risk far better than I do just pressure luck. So I appreciated this a lot more than some of the other pressure luck games that we've had. And I thought it was a lot of fun. And I enjoyed it. What about you? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think it's, as far as it's a unique pressure luck game. The fact that it's not you that gets to decide necessarily whether you want to stay or not stay, because you can bow out at any time to preserve your cards, but you're basically sacrificing getting any of the gems. And there's several times I probably should have. I waited probably too long and should have saved my cards because I knew you were going to basically max out, and there was nothing I was going to do to get those gem points. But once I played my cards, I could have just bowed out the ones that got me scoring, and eventually I caught on to that. But either way, I think that there's a lot of tension in the game, but sometimes it felt like it was a bit of a downer when you had complete control of the board. I almost feel like there should have been a kill at the end, like not a kill, but like there's something that stopped you regardless of how much protection you had if you hit the
Well, no, I mean, I like the fact that it's a calculated risk. I like the fact that you basically secure it. But the reality is Dad didn't buy any protection cards. I would not have been able to get all of them if he had also bought, because you had bought a few.
Yeah.
And if he had also bought a few, then there's no way I could have.
Yeah.
So I think there's that element to it. But if you're going to let someone pigeonhole themselves, like if you let someone have all the scorecards, it doesn't matter that they eventually die. They're going to have all their points laid out, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that's something to kind of keep in mind, that, don't leave those out, right? Because people were just letting them sit there for a very long time.
Yeah.
And so I just picked them up, not realizing that strategy quite yet. And then when I discovered it, I was like, oh no, I'm the one that needs to be triggering these dives because I can make sure even if people tag along, they're not going to be able to withstand it.
And I think that I do like the fact that I can trigger the dives. If you're going to gather the cards, I can trigger the dives and potentially leave you out. I probably should have grabbed one of those movement cards that would have let me, because there was ones that had up to 3 movement. I could have possibly gotten further away from you so you couldn't jump in and score along with me. But the fact that I could cycle my deck was an advantage for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the key thing is it did end up, I missed, because there was one dive I could get in, but I chose not to because I didn't have any cards because I just used all my cards to max out. Where you knew you gave up pretty much early on because you placed out like 4 or 5 cards. You're like, oh nope, I'm done. Because you knew you just needed one rest.
And I could, and I kind of keep it. Unfortunately, the black tiles were the fish attacks were my weakness because I didn't get any protection but 1 for that. So I was at the mercy of those attacks each time, and it seems like invariably I drew one of those black tokens early each time, and it was like, oh, now I'm at risk every draw I make.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, press your luck, you'll be fine, because I would be fine. Yeah. So I think there's a bit of strategy. I think you're going to have to pay attention to the cards that are up. I think you're also going to have to pay attention of not throwing a bunch of crap in your hand.
And pay attention to what everybody else is doing as far as movement on the board, because that can burn you too.
Right, well, and that's pretty much as soon as you move, the next my turn is I move next to you. So there is some strategy of paying attention to when that happens. And that's the biggest thing is I piggybacked the first half of the game. I didn't trigger any dives the first half of the game. I just followed you guys around. It worked out for me. But we were really close. So it was only 27 points away, 27 points.
But it was a 250, 230 point game.
Yeah, that was a pretty substantial
pretty
game.
high scoring game.
Yeah, so not too.
Yeah, I will say I don't think, given the fact this plays up to 5, I think they might have needed more scoring tokens because I think we almost ran out because they didn't give you very many big value ones.
Yeah, I pretty much had almost all the 20s because I took them.
But yeah, this is definitely a very light to medium, almost on the light side game. It's not heavy at all.
Yeah, but it's still fun.
It's got deck building elements and pressure luck elements. So if you're a fan of those type of games, this is a good fit for you.
Yeah, and like you said, I think it is it's a good beginner to medium game. It's teaching people a little bit of strategy, but still being pretty light enough and fun enough. So I think
kind of what Days of Wonder specializes in is games of that. I mean, they have some heavier ones, not super heavy, but heavier. But this is kind of their niche has been the light to medium games.
Yeah. So let's talk about scoring. What are you thinking about scoring?
I think I'm probably at a 7.5. I think it's a very good game for its niche that it's in, and I love the thematic elements of this game. I wish there was. I actually wish the pressure luck would have been a little more tension in the game. I think that my concern is that one, when you have somebody that dominates that, they could have a runaway, and I would rather there be some element to stop that from happening.
See, but okay, so I disagree because, like you said, if my hand gets too bogged down, you can jump ahead. And that's essentially what you did. We weren't that far off.
No, we weren't.
But it
takes away the tension when you know you're not going to fail, is what I'm saying.
Well, no, I was going to fail. I didn't have enough oxygen.
You were 1 shy. You would have to draw all 4 oxygens to fail.
But here's the thing,
and if you went to a spot like that,
I did less dives, right? Like I had to plan myself up. And with you triggering, I didn't get to use that full engine. Right, so I can only do so much. So I mean, there is some wiggle room there, right? Because once I drained my hand, I was completely drained, and it took me rounds to get back up and running. And when I did that, each time I did that, I ended up losing a dive.
Yeah.
So, and in fact, looking back on it now, it shouldn't have mattered that I dived alone because I could always I should have just waited for you guys to get there, and because it wouldn't have mattered because I could drown you guys out in the end. But once I used it up, and I think that's part of the strategy. And here's the thing, though. For me, if it had more tension, I wouldn't have liked it because I don't like pressure luck games. So I like mitigation. I don't mind pressure luck if there's mitigation and I can control it.
I mean, there's still mitigation. Getting those protections is still mitigation. But I just think there shouldn't be a way that you can remove it completely.
I'm okay with it.
I'm sure you are. I personally think...
I don't think there would be. With more players, those cards are going to a lot less... They're not going to... And if, like I said, if Dad had bought any of those protection cards...
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to do that. So I think moving forward, you're not going to let me be able to do that.
No, I'm not. But I can't do it alone.
So scoring for me, I'm thinking 8.
Okay.
I really did like it. But again, I would give it lower if I could mitigate all the luck. Just because that's how I don't like pressure luck games. This one I'm okay with because I could mitigate it all if I wanted to. And I do think it's a calculated risk, which I appreciate even more. So for me, it's an 8. Probably when I play this again and you don't let me do it this way, it'll probably go down a little bit, but it'll be all right. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We had an absolute blast tonight, and hopefully you'll come hang out with us again. We'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye.